supporting the startups. It's supporting the startups from all the and across all the technologies. So being in IIT Bombay, we are sector agnostics and we have startups from various domains and technologies. Just to give you some numbers, 220 startups, 220 plus now startups supported by SINE, 1,000 plus entrepreneurs, and we have 66 current companies, and there is always a share of failure, which 48 startups have been folded, but I think the success story is about 75% of the startups are sustaining and successful. That's a quite impressive number for any incubation center. As I mentioned, sector agnostic, we have different companies in different domains. We are hosted by IIT Bombay, and as you know, as a center of national importance, institute of national importance, IIT Bombay itself has a brand, and that entire ecosystem, IIT Bombay ecosystem, where we are students, we have faculty members, we have different facilities, state-of-the-art facilities, and the other kind of support which is provided by the IIT Bombay, which is a strength of SINE. Apart from IIT Bombay, we have other ecosystem also well connected, being into existence from last 20 years. We are well connected with the industry, investors, corporate, startup associations, and international connects we do have. Just to little more elaboration on IIT Bombay ecosystem, we have student bodies who are fostering entrepreneurship into the campus. We have the School of Entrepreneurship, which is giving a formal education for entrepreneurs, and we have some applied research groups in the campus which are specifically focused on specific different technologies. Of course, a deep tech or technology hub of IIT Bombay is the department. So all the departments and centers, interdisciplinary centers, and this entire becomes our pipeline for the incubation. For specifically for IDEX program, what is the kind of support that SINE gives? So being an academic institute, we are the hotspot for the technology. We have different departments, centers, which are specifically focused and working with DRDO, ISRO, and Triforces of India. And we have talent pool of students. We have sophisticated facilities, high-end equipments at IIT Bombay, which can be leveraged by SINE incubators. We have business and technical mentors. We have investor connects and demo days, and we do have partnerships, industry linkages. The best part of any incubation center is a peer-to-peer learning, where you will find people who are in the same boat, in the same domain, or in the same stage what you are, and you get that lot of learnings and sharing. Of course, with an alumni support of not only IIT Bombay, but even the SINE entrepreneurs who have been graduated, who have been successful till now, they come back and then they support, mentor, guide our startups. So that's the biggest advantage of being in any incubation center. Some of the SINE IDEX companies, current status of SINE IDEX is we have almost 39-40 startups or companies right now as grantees, and 5 companies are in their final closure stage. We have some of the companies to name. I don't want to go into the details because of the time constraint, but we have SciComm, we have QNU, ZS Numerics, all these companies. We have some of the current companies, Altair, Blurs, of course, you will hear from Roshan, you will hear from Advait, their experiences. And across all the challenges, we have the companies supported by SINE under IDEX. We are blessed to get support from all the government agencies. We are closely working with DST, MIT, Ministry of Power, Ministry of Defense, BIRAC, and also Maharashtra State Innovation Society and Mumbai Smile Incubation Center. So we are closely working with all of them. We have corporate partnership for different programs, different models. We have, be it mentoring support, be it financial support, or any other kind of programs we have with corporates. And that's the biggest advantage for our companies to get the visibility in the corporate ecosystem. Some other partnership with other ecosystem stakeholders. We have some state-of-the-art facilities at SINE also. We have biolab, we have metalworking lab, and we have electronics and prototyping lab as well. Our startups get the advantage, or even external users also utilize our facilities. So we have a current team size of 33 with experience in various domain, life science, technology, management, banking, finance, legal, and IT. So SINE team is well equipped with the relevant experience and expertise to support the startups. So this is all about SINE. I'm just stopping screen share. Yeah. Yeah, so I think with this brief introduction about SINE, I'll hand over to Kanish to share more details about the IDEX program and the current challenges that have been launched by IDEX.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. First of all, I would like to thank SINE and IIT Bombay for organizing this session and inviting us to present what this 10 entails. I'll just share my screen. Just update me if you can see the screen or not. Just a second. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So good morning all. I would like to say thanks to all the participants who have joined, taken time out of their schedules, all the people from startups, MSMEs, innovators, and academia. And as you know, IDEX has come up with DISC 10, which is the 10th edition of Defense India Startup Challenge. This entails DISC 10, the prime challenges, Index X, which is the India-US collaboration, and specifically some challenges for IDEX for 4G. So IDEX has been launched in 2018 with the aim to bring indigenization into the defense ecosystem in India, infusion of cutting-edge technologies in the armed forces from across the country. And armed forces, when we speak about armed forces, we don't restrict it to just in Army, Navy, and Air Force. We involve all the DPSUs, BRO, Indian Coast Guard, and everything. Anyone who's in the process of serving the nation and has a problem statement, we are there to serve them with the technology which can help them to ease their cause. DIO, as in Defense Innovation Organization, is a Section 8 company, as you know. As of now, with the 10th edition, launch of 10th edition, we are engaged with more than 400 startups. We have crossed the threshold and benchmark of 400 startups and MSMEs across the country. The focus is basically towards developing new technologies, innovation, and R&D. And for that, the main focus is towards rapid prototyping. So we normally try and complete the projects from a timeline of 12 to 24 months, and not more than that. So from the inception to the finalization of any product, any idea, it just takes 12 to 24 months at max. We try and make everything possible in that timeline. As if you have seen the recent events, we have cleared the procurement of 28 items from all the IDEX projects with DIO for around 2,000 crores. 50 plus technologies has been made across the country with our own startups. If we talk about the framework, so what happens at IDEX is we try and get the problem statements from all the defense organizations who are working towards securing the nation. They provide us the problem statements which they are facing on a day-to-day basis, or they think that can be useful in the near future. Then IDEX curate those problems. Then we have our partner incubators such as SINE, IIT Bombay, which just see if the challenges and the problem statement which are given by the services are technically feasible or not. Then the problem statements are rolled to the startups and they apply for various challenges which have been mentioned, like the DISC, the OC. OC is one part where the startups themselves provide the statements which they think can be useful in the defense framework of India. Prime is the scheme where the products are much more diverse and high end, and the grant is also as per them. INDEX, as I just told you, is the collaboration with India and US, and they have jointly given us some statements and some challenges, which will be in the further slides. And IDEX for 4G is specifically for the Army unit of India. IDEX is basically the facilitating unit between the defense sector and the startups. We try to bring both the all the stakeholders to a single platform where we can coordinate everything and just make sure that everything is in line and easy. So we have a Spark grant up to 10 CR, which is the prime, and for other we have a grant of 1.5 CR. Startups, MSMEs, individual innovators, everyone can apply. There's no bar to that. Just if you have anything which can support the defense ecosystem in India, you are free to apply at IDEX. We have a experienced team at DIO. Access and lab equipment is mostly we don't have an inbuilt lab, but we have partner incubators who have all the facilities which can support any startup at any extent. And from technical to rapid prototyping, they are there for your handholding and support. Outreach and showcase is basically the part where we convey what challenges are there and how startups, MSMEs, or anyone who wish to apply to IDEX can be a part of IDEX. The flowchart of activities is basically how things are done at IDEX and how, as an first-time user, you can apply to IDEX and what are the things which you need to take care of. So problem statements are received from services and DPSUs. Then IDEX and with support of the PIs, curates them. Then there's these outreach sessions where we tell all the potential participants what those challenges are. Then after that, what happens is once you apply for those challenges, we receive all the information. We then filter out the potential applications. Then there is an HPSC, which is High Power Selection Committee, where you have to present your idea so that we can understand your competencies and the due diligences if that the challenge which you have submitted the application for is worthwhile or not. Announcement of the results is the next part, which will be done via emails and everything. You'll be informed if you have been shortlisted for an IDEX challenge or not. Then the step comes where you have to select your own PIs, which will be helping you throughout the journey on a technical end. And that's how it works. Fostering the defense startup ecosystem. Spark is the grant where we provide a grant of 1.5 CR. IDEX Prime launched for larger scope projects. Some projects, we understand that defense is a large ecosystem and not everything can be done within 1.5 CR. So we have another challenge category, which is the Prime. In that, we provide a grant up to 10 CR with a component of matching contribution, which I guess is the most important part when you talk about IDEX, to maintain the seriousness of all the participants who are applying. The amount which they'll be getting as a matching contribution is the same amount we'll be delivering to them as a grant. So let's say a project consists of a total project budget of 3 crore rupees. So 1.5 CR comes out of the startup or innovator's pocket and 1.5 CR will be given by IDEX. Mode of applications are 3: DISC, Prime, and OC. DISC is 1.5 CR, which the problem statements will be shown to you in the further segment. Prime is also a problem statement oriented, where we have the problem statements and you have to apply for those statements as per your competencies. OC is one category where you as an innovator can think of all the aspects of the Indian defense ecosystem and see where you can contribute. If you you think that you have certain product which can be helpful in the Indian defense ecosystem, you can apply as an application for OC, which can be then curated, and the services can tell us if it is as per their utility or not. So basic snapshot of IDEX, what we have been doing for from 2018. We have entailed 28 partner incubators across the country. Open challenges, we have received 910 plus applications with almost 400 plus innovators. 7,000 plus applications, 450 has been shortlisted already, as informed to you. We have 23 nodal agencies from across the services, Army, Navy, uh, Air Force, DPSUs, and everything. A total of 290 plus contracts has been signed by IDEX till date. If we talk about the technologies, what we are currently focusing on is the same what the ecosystem in India is currently running on. Artificial intelligence is one thing which is on a rise as of now, with the integration to robotics, UAVs, and all these things. Radar technology is one thing which is of much focus when you talk about areas which is inaccessible to the forces. So that is one thing which we always have in focus. Virtual reality is one thing where most of the startups today are working on, where you can see a complete view of the locations or the products which are being used in day-to-day services. IDEX Showcase is one big part of our day-to-day activities, where our startups, which are the pride of IDEX, we try to showcase all the technologies which are developed by them to everyone and the decision makers of the country. You can see we had recently, if you are following IDEX portals and social media, recently we have showcased all our products at Swab London, which was organized in the last month. These are all the snapshots of IDEX showcases, all the products which are developed by our own startups. So we have been awarded with the PM award in 2021 for excellence. So yeah, this is a basic for any further information. If you need, you can always visit our website, which is idex.gov.in, which has all the challenge categories, all the information. Other than that, you can always contact anyone at DIO or anyone at the partner incubators. If you have any specific query regarding any challenge, you can submit that query, which will be telling you in the further segment on how to submit the query, so that we can receive the query and we can forward it to respective nodal agencies for further clarification on any query. So DISCEX challenges, you can directly go to idex.gov.in /challenges hyphen categories, and you'll have the information of all the challenges which has been provided by different services. So this is just a short video on launch of this. So I'll be sharing it. Is the screen visible? Rashmi, can you confirm?
Yes, it is.
As we begin our journey towards Amritkal, the nation sets its sights on the inspiring vision of Viksit Bharat, propelled by the pursuit of self-reliance within its defense ecosystem. IDEX, an effort led by Ministry of Defense towards Atmanirbharta in defense, has leveraged the expertise and creativity of our nation's young entrepreneurs and startups. IDEX is engaged with over 400 startups and MSMEs, enabling development of more than 50 cutting-edge technologies. Till date, procurement of 28 items worth over 2,000 crore rupees has been cleared, further boosting our defense network. 9 new partner incubators have been onboarded, continuing to foster innovation. IDEX is launching DISC 10 with 76 challenges and IDEX for 4G with 5 challenges. DISC 10 marks the highest number of challenges launched till date. 3 challenges have been received from service, Defense Space Agency, Indian Coast Guard, IDEX, and Border Roads Organization, spread across a wide array of critical and advanced technology domains, marching ahead in unison towards a self-reliant India. IDEX extends an open invitation to innovators, startups, and MSMEs to apply. For more information, visit www.idex.gov.in.
I hope everyone was able to see the video, and things are much more clear than what we are trying to explain here. So just basic framework on how to apply on various challenge categories. Desk application, you can click on, you can go to the website, open the website, click on desk challenges. There's an application form which has all the details of what we are looking at. You can just fill in the form. This is the basic format of the form which you'll find on the website. You have to fill in all the details, and when you submit in, we'll receive the application along with your presentation, what you are trying to submit for the challenge. Open challenge is a similar format, similar application format, where there's an open challenge category over the website. You can just open the challenge category. You can fill in the details and you can submit the form. This is the basic open challenge format, which you'll find on the website. Prime, there's another category as Prime. You can just click on Prime, fill in the form, submit the Prime form, and we'll receive your application. IDEX is also mentioned over the website itself. This is the application form format for IDEX. Similarly, IDEX for 4G is also there. If you have any queries regarding to any of the challenges, there's a separate query form which includes all the categories. You can just fill in, select the category at challenge category and just post your category. We'll receive the category and we'll receive the query and we'll forward it to the respective nodal agency. If we are able to, if it's a general query which is for IDEX, we'll revert back accordingly. And if it's a specific query regarding specific challenge from a nodal agency, it will be forwarded to that nodal agency, which will be then giving us the response to that query, which will be shared to you further. So thank you. I guess you have a basic idea of what we do and what is the basic way to apply for IDEX challenges. And if you have any questions regarding this, we can take it up now or after the completion of all the things.
I think Kanish, they have started writing questions in the Q&A box, but meanwhile we'll go ahead with the discussions. You can parallelly write the answers there in the Q&A box.
Yeah, no worries. We can
to save the time. So maybe if I think Colonel Jitendra had joined, right?
Yeah, I'll just check.
Yeah. This name.
Yeah, I joined. Yes, this is Colonel Jitendra. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for joining, sir, and welcome to the session. When we welcome you, were able to join. So, yeah. So, would you like to explain more details about the problem statements?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm traveling. That's why I was not able to come on video.
Sure.
So, I hope my voice is clear, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning to you all. I am Colonel Jitendra. I am the Director R&D in the Defense Space Agency. Just to give a background about our unit, it is a tri-service unit. You know, services, there are three, that is Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force. Now, combining these three, there are three tri-services units also under IDS. It is Integrated Defense Staff. So there are tri-services units. If you to put it in a perspective to understand, like space and cyber, they are common domains which are required by all three services. That's why space and cyber has been placed as a tri-service units under IDS. So that's how Defense Space Agency and Defense Cyber Agency are raised 4 years back. So we are 4 years old, and we are present in the formative years, and we made our own plans, operational plans, and the strategy and doctrine. All are in the final stages of approval. But one good thing has happened to DSA is that we have our capability development roadmap plan for 25 years ahead. Because you all know that space projects are very time consuming, and the incubation periods are high, developmental periods are high. Along with that, the costs are also high. Adding to this problems, we have one more problem is the skill. Till date, we have only one of the only nodal agencies, ISRO. They used to help with respect to space, even for the military, it was through ISRO only. But with the way the space has come up in the last 3-4 years in India, though we are faring very well with respect to the international space, with respect to the military space, we are definitely not in that stage where we can compete with our adversary, especially the China. So with this, what we thought is that let's have a roadmap. We have a roadmap for next 25 years, but very, it's fortunate to us that last year, as part of this Amrit 75-year celebration, and also as part of self-reliant Atmanirbhar Bharat, the PM has launched 75 space challenges. What the DIO rep IDEX rep was telling you is IDEX technologies for all spectrum, all technologies and all domains for all 3 services. But what I am saying specifically, what happened last year is, as per the push given by the PM office, all ministries have been told to project some challenges towards the self-reliance. So in that background, if I see, space is completely critical technologies are all imported. Yes, we have our own heritage knowledge with respect to launch vehicles, and also few payload related technologies are there, but most of the critical subsystems are still being imported from abroad. So when this thing was told to MOD, then MOD approached IDEX, and IDEX came up, since they are the actual mandated agency to go for innovations. So they told, okay, fine, then 75 years of celebration, let's go for identifying 75 space challenges, which can assist our defense space agency and the nation in whole, so that we can become capable, which I was envisaging for next 25 years. We are accelerating it, and it was a big boost to us. So we sat and we came up with 75 space challenges, which covers under all domains of space. We divide them under 5 buckets. The first one is the ISR, that is the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. And the second is the PNT, position, navigation, and timing. And third is the SATCOM. Fourth is specific to military, that is countermeasures, which includes both offensive and defensive. And the fifth is the SSA, that is space situational awareness. With these 5 buckets in mind, and we made the 75 challenges. And it was launched last year in October during DEF Expo by PM. Then we divided this 75 challenges among services for handholding and progressing them for successful prototype or the TD demonstration or prototype demonstration. So we distributed it among all 3 services and also DSA. So when we distributed it, the number of challenges out of 75, 28 are with us. That is the Defense Space Agency. And my charter as Director R&D completely comes into this, where I am mandated to do the capability development of Defense Space Agency, where I interact with all potential vendors, academia, and see that the latest technologies are infused into our military operations. With this background, I want to say that out of these 75 challenges, 40 were under make challenges because of the cost. They were not able to fit into the IDEX scheme, because as you all know now, IDEX maximum contribution in IDEX scheme is prime, which is up to 10 crores. But in space, 10 crores is even software development will also might be possible. That's all. So nothing can be done in terms of space segment. So they thought, okay, which are high capital has been shifted from IDEX to make. So in that context, around 40 has been gone to make, and 35 are under IDEX. So DSA, which had a share of 28 challenges, in that 20 were under make, and 8 were only under IDEX. But when I did a feasibility study, we found that there are a few make challenges which are there, which has a very low capital, which can be included into IDEX. So we taken up a case, and out of this 20 make, 8 challenges we recommended for shifting them to IDEX. So that's how it was approved, and that it came into this disk 10, that is disk X. So our initial challenges were launched in disk 8. If you see last year, as I was telling you, Out of 28, 8 are IDEX. That 8 IDEX were launched in DISC 8 earlier. Now in DISC 10, the recategorized 8 challenges of MAKE has been shifted to IDEX. That is in DISC 10. So that's what we will be showing today. So I want to say that there is no new challenges which has been added into DISC 10. They are old challenges, only we recategorized it from MAKE to IDEX. Out of them, maximum are prime out of 8. 6 are prime and 2 are only disk. I request, I think you have the presentation to which I requested from DIO to show the participants.
Yes, sir. I'll share the presentation in just a second.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. This is the challenge called integration of optical and radar sensor. Radar sensors into a network with AI-based analytics. This is a software project. What we want, this is purely SSA. As I told, one of the domains, 5 domains, this is SSA. SSA presently, just for your info, even ISRO, they don't have their own set of sensors. They have very less sensors, and generally we get the SSA data from abroad, from US and other friendly countries. In space operations, the first thing you require is precise SSA data, space situational awareness data. They are the eyes to us in space. It should be very precise. Then only you can do some operations in space. So we thought before going to the sensor deployment, which is also there part of our challenges, we should also have an analytical tool which has a flexibility of taking multiple data sets and fusing them into a single platform. That's where I'm saying, if you see in SSA, the sensors are broadly divided into 2 types, optical sensors and radar, that is RF sensors. So when both the data sets are coming, this tool which also has an AML analytical tool, it has to infuse this data and also give a report. After that, a precise intelligence report has to be generated. So this is the first project. Yeah, next. Next slide, please. Hello. Can
Already changed.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, now one more thing I want to say. In this 75 challenges, it's called Mission Dev Space. Okay, that project is called Mission Dev Space. Out of 75 challenges, we kept 35 challenges as main product challenges. Main product, that's called composite challenges. If you do the challenge, you will get a product which can deliver you something. Under that 35 challenges, we have few subsystem challenges called component challenges. That can be a technology, that can be a subsystem development, which will be adding on to the main product. So we call them as component. So this is the component challenge of the earlier one, which I just now told, the platform, the analytical platform for SSA. This is the sub-component challenge. What we are asking is, in that analytical platform, we want a module which can infuse different data sets. Here we are saying that imagery data fusion for optical and radar data sources. So we want a module in that. This is a component challenge. This is might be under disk. I have to just check. I think it is under disk. So this will be the part of the main project, which I told earlier. This is the component challenge. Yeah, next, please. Yes. Now, when I was telling about the sensor, SSA sensors, optical and radar, there are 2 types in that. One is the ground-based radars, which are positioned on Earth, and there are space-based sensors and ground-based sensors. Presently, ground-based sensors are there all over the world by countries have deployed, and they are selling this SSA data to other countries. But space-based sensors is not yet been there. We have sensors in space like telescopes and all, but specifically for SSA, we don't have. So that's also we have in our thought process in future. We should go for space-based sensors for SSA also. So coming to the ground-based sensors, you all will understand. Whenever I'm looking up in the sky towards the space, you can't place your sensors wherever you have a land. See, it has some parameters: dust, cloud cover, how much the seasons, how the location is affecting the field of view of the space. So all those things, parameters have to be considered. So that's why we projected a challenge in the disk. It is again a component challenge of the main, that platform which I was telling you. It's a component challenge where we want a sighting simulator. So for example, I want to sight an optical telescope on ground somewhere in our area. It can be around the globe or in my area, wherever. I'll give a lat long. It will tell the pros and cons. Or if I say these are the parameters, I want you to tell me which is the best location, it has to give me the sighting. So it's a simulator. So after identifying the location, we will plan sighting our sensors when we are procuring it in future. Okay, thank you. Next. Yes, this is one more challenge with respect to SSA only, but not SSA. It will take inputs from SSA. It's called training simulator for space activities. So you can visualize, I can say in one word, it is something like a space operations training simulator. We purposely didn't put what are the use cases, how are you going to use this in the open domain. So that will be disclosed only when the PDS, that the problem definition statement is done. What all the scope of this training simulator will be. But broadly, what I want to say is, it is a training simulator to the space operators. It's a military space operations. Public, this is a dual use also for peacetime and wartime. So this is basically to train us. It's a simulated training simulator. Rest we can discuss on when you are if somebody is interested. If they approach us, we will discuss further scope. Okay, next. Yes, during our scan of technology, we found that the transmitters which we have presently, the SSPAs, they are all imported. Even indigenously, we don't have even a low wattage SSPAs, a solid state power amplifiers, which is not there available as on date. So even if we have, they are very low power. So we thought that why can't we give a component challenge or a separate challenge where a person can develop some high wattage SSPAs. So this is the challenge. Here I have written band because we see that in future K and Q are the future bands for the high throughput requirements because we already having issues with C band, S band, and L band and all. So we will be focusing more towards the K band. That's why we gave Ka, but this can be discussed. It's not restricted that you have to do it only in Ka band. That we'll see what is our future plans in how our transmitters in the ground stations, which bands we are proposing, we'll tell that. And this can be, again, will be clearly told in the problem definition statement. Next. Okay. There is a main challenge in MAKE called orbital transfer vehicle. You all can understand what is an orbital transfer vehicle. When you launch any vehicle up a satellite, it is we plan it for a single orbit. So if you want to move it from one orbit to other orbit, if you want to do an orbit transfer, so it involves propulsion, it involves orbit maneuvering activities. A vehicle which is capable of moving from one orbit to other is called orbital transfer vehicle. So we gave this challenge in Make 1, which is already there. In the as the main challenge, that is the OTV. The sub challenge to it, if see that's a vehicle. So what it will do is a question. So what it will do is it will have some sensors. With that sensors, it can detect and identify debris or our own satellites or adversary satellites with its sensors, that is the eyes, then it can use its actuators to do some operations on it. For example, you have to remove a debris. So for the debris removal, the actuator is robotic arm as on date. We presently don't have, but adversaries are all having it. So we wanted in the OTV an actuator that is a robotic arm. Robotic arm is a very heritage. People have done number of robotic arm designs with many degrees of freedom. Here, what we are asking is a space grade with a length of around 3 meters. That also can be discussed around 3 meters distance length, which has minimum 4 degrees of freedom, and it should be comfortably holding a asymmetrical or non the misshaped, the shape which is not there, irregular shape debris. It should hold, and so that we can shift it and remove the debris to and take it to a graveyard location. So this is the robotic arm challenge as part of the OTV. Okay, next. This is the sensors. This is the eyes which I told for the OTV. It should have an intelligent object identification system. We have to develop a module, a subsystem with light detection and ranging, that is the LiDAR, and the EO sensors for detection and identification for both. This is basically for RPO. We call it as RPO, this rendezvous and proximity operations, where you close into our satellite or debris, identify it. If it is a satellite, you can do docking operations also later. So all these technologies are multi-useful. It has multiple useful cases. But our requirement here is for the OTV. These are the sensors, and the prior one which I told earlier one is for the actuator, that is the robotic. Okay, next. Yeah, this is the last challenge out of 8. As I told you about SSA, we are trying as a one of the pilot project first time to have our own optical telescope with a aperture of around 1 to 2 meters. That's what we have given, aperture size of 1 to 3 meters. Sorry, 1 to 3 meters. Why I gave a range is till 1.5 meters is already been realized. Or the foundry is available, optics for the optics. The foundry is available in India only with ISRO. So we want to see it's an innovation challenge. Okay, so we want to push that to a limit of at least 3. But again, this can be worked out as per the requirement of our requirement for SSA. So this is a high resolution optical telescope with the aperture size of this. So this is a ground-based optical telescope which we want for SSA. It's a separate challenge under Prime. Thank you. That's all I think. If any doubts or clarifications you want, I'm happy to clarify that.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the insights of all the 8 problems which are given by your as you as a nodal officer. Major Sahil, you want to give some more
one thing
yes,
I want to add, ma'am. Sorry,
yes,
one
sir.
thing I want to add.
Yes, sir.
In the website, when you go in the IDEX website, you will see a very small paragraph, around 4 to 5 lines only, a brief description of these problems. So it's a problem statement. It is not a definition or in detail we are giving in that, as I told just now.
Right.
So once you apply, see, first of all, we want to know who are all interested. So interested people will give their proposal in the online website. They will apply. Then once the screening is done by DIO, I will be keeping the PDS, that is the problem definition statement, which will have much more elaborate technical details in that. So that's called problem definition statement. That will be ready with us. And once we screen the people, then we'll give these PDS documents to only the screened people for the selection committee, so that we can select out of them. So I hope you are understanding. For example, there are 50 people who wanted to apply. They can apply. After the initial screening, if we have screened only around 20 out of 50, the 20 people, I will share the PDS. Then they will be called for a HPSC, that is a high power selection committee, where with this PDS as the background requirement, they will present their proposals. Then we will select the winner out of this people, out of this 20, for an example which I just told. So we'll identify the winner and the winner will be declared and the contract will be signed with him. As the master document, this PDS will be the master document.
Okay. Sir, but in meanwhile, before even application, if the company or the innovator wants to have little more clarity on some specifications, maybe if so, what is the option?
Yeah, you can mail to me. That mail ID is there given in the IDEX.
Okay. So
Yeah, they can approach
if
me.
they have anything specific questions, then they can ask you over mail, right?
Yeah, they can ask me over mail. But
Okay.
this challenges are already been launched, and I think this December 4th is the last date.
Right.
Okay, they have to apply this before that.
Right. So
But I say I always recommend you apply for the challenge. Then even though, see, first of all, a firm which is interested in launch vehicles will not be interested in telescopes. So it should not happen that you are interested in your field or the startup, your core domain startup knowledge or the technology which you want to develop is in telescopes. Obviously, you should apply. You should apply immediately.
Right.
It's since I don't understand where is the doubt, because mostly we have given in that on a small paragraph we have given. It's around 10 centimeters it has to identify or whatever. We have told that. In spite of that, if at all they have any doubts, they can mail us. But it should not restrict them from applying. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. Got it, sir. Got it. I think audience, please note that 4th December is a deadline for applying the IDEX challenges. Thank you so much, sir, for this insights. Major Sahil, you want to add?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And I'll be discussing about instrument called automatic activation devices. So I've been working with combat freefall and special forces for a long time now. And these devices are generally used for, I'll come to the details of it. I have a small presentation to share with you all. Just a second. Okay, I hope it is visible to you. So these automatic activation devices are actually used in the parachutes for automatic deployment in case there is a situation that demands it. So I'll start with combat freefall. Combat freefall is essentially a form of skydiving wherein we jump from aircrafts with combat loads and in different profiles. So as you can see, there are a couple of photographs next to the heading. And on the left, you can see there is a parachute system with different kinds of things attached to it. And on the top of that parachute system, there is a small metallic part which is like clearly visible on the right on the top. That is the automatic activation device that we are talking about here. On the right, you can see a free faller with his combat loads, with an oxygen equipment, with a weapon and everything. So that is generally a profile for a fully loaded combat free faller jump. And it has two parachutes within the bag, within this rucksack kind of a thing. The upper one is the reserve parachute and the lower one is the main parachute. There are multiple ways to deploy your main parachute. It can be a static line, it can be assisted deployment, it can be self-deployed, and even self-deployment can be in 2 or 3 different modes. And so essentially what the automatic activation device here is doing is that in case there is an emergency and which is out of control and the free-faller is unconscious or unable to handle that emergency, that activation device fires on its own. And and also in military, unlike in civil drop zones, what is happening is that you are taking off from the same point that you're landing. But in military, your takeoff might be totally different place where you are expected to land in a foreign drop zone. So we also need to consider for these military activation devices that they should be able to be calibrated so as to, be calibrated to the altitude of the drop zone that we are landing instead of the drop zone, instead of the takeoff location. And even there might be a requirement that the drop zone is changed and the task is changed mid-air. So that should also have the capability to be calibrated mid-air in an aircraft, in a pressurized aircraft with certain parameters or a calculator. Now, I'll start with AAD proper, what it is. So it is called an automatic activation device, as we have discussed. Development started in the 1960s when the Americans had to drop loads from aircraft. So they wanted the loads to be deployed, and since there is no individual with loads, and they built up two devices, one which could fire at 1,000 feet and another which could fire at 1,700 feet. But over the years, since 1980s, companies have heavily been invested into making them for safety of skydivers, safety of free fallers during the jump. Most of the countries and most of the drop zones and most of the parachute systems today have made it mandatory that the system must have an AAD before you jump, even in our army. So there are a lot of emergencies that might happen with a paratrooper, with a skydiver, with a free faller during his jump. I'll not go into the details of the emergencies. We'll go into it subsequently when we are in the subsequent discussions. But for today, let's just understand there are like two different kinds of emergencies. One are high-speed emergencies and one are low-speed emergencies. High-speed emergency, you need to react really fast. In low-speed emergencies, you still probably have a few seconds wherein you can take your time and assess the situation and then react. But so we have a procedure, we have a set procedure, we have a set altitude before which we have to react and respond to the emergency. If we don't react or respond to the emergency, we need to land the same parachute, which is not really functioning that well, into the drop zone. So when this emergency happens, we already have a main parachute, which I showed you in the previous slide, which is at the bottom of the container. And on the top, there is a reserve parachute. So whenever there is an emergency, what we are doing is like, we are cutting away or we are kind of jettisoning the main parachute to make a clear path for the reserve deployment. So it needs clean air. It doesn't need extra fabric, no excess lines. So we want the reserve to deploy clear from the main parachute. So the first step to clearing of your emergency is like you jettison the main parachute. There is also a little diagram, a couple of diagrams to your right. The lower one tells you how this parachute actually looks like. It's like a ram air canopy. It looks squarish or semi-elliptical in nature. It has got a lot of strings, or what we call as lines, coming down from the overall fabric part of the parachute and getting attached to the person in the harness. So the cells on the top of the parachute, the cells in the fabric, they let the clean air in and they help your parachute be strong and sturdy and let you fly down with ease. So anyway, so when the emergencies happen at really low altitude, or the free faller is unconscious or knocked out or not able to respond to an emergency due to probably one of his limbs or something getting entangled in the parachute, we require the assistance of an automatic activation device. Now, when the automatic activation device fires, there is no time for the main canopy to be jettisoned. It is already too low for the free faller to have a separate parachute on it. So it creates more fabric and probably kind of saves the person's life. And so what we do is like we need it at a certain altitude only to fire and not above it, so that the skydiver or the free faller still has got time to respond to the situation. And also it needs to have into consideration a certain rate of descent. So that rate of descent for military parachutes is generally around 35 feet per second that we are looking at. So if you're going any faster than 35 feet per second, the AAD should be able to automatically fire and deploy the reserve parachute for you. On the top of the parachute diagram, we have a small little diagram of the AAD. So AAD has three major components. One is the control unit, which has a little screen and a button on it. One is the processing unit, which looks black, like a small little black box. And then one is a cutter unit. So the black box is a processor unit which reads the barometric pressure and also contains the battery and passes those signals to the cutter unit. The control unit lets you adjust or lets you kind of program or pre-feed the overall unit. It also has got two cables, one connecting to the control unit to the processing unit and one connecting the processing unit to the cutter unit. Now what the cutter unit is doing, how does a parachute really deploy, is that there is a pin that is attached. There's a pin that closes the overall backpack, and that pin has a little string onto it. That little string and pin act like a latch kind of a system. So once the pin is pulled out, the entire backpack opens up and kind of deploys the parachute. And this cutter unit, essentially what it is doing is it is cutting away that little string which is holding the pin in place, and it opens up even if there is no pull on the parachute. There is another point that I mentioned is serviceability and defect rectification. So generally what the Cypresses were, Cypress is one of the most major or the most reliable brand in terms of AEDs. And so serviceability until like 2015 and 16, they used to be serviced every 4 years, but now they have improved it and now it is not a mandatory servicing. So it should be serviceable for a longer duration since it is for the military and it is not very convenient for us to keep sending it for serviceability. So I'll put a point across, and that is like we don't need to reinvent the wheel when something is already existing in the market. So what we really want and what we are really using and what is the highest end or the best technology available in the world right now made for military parachutes is known as Cypress 2 military military mode changeable. So we kind of we'll also be able to provide you, like in case you so desire, older parachutes and older versions of Cypress to use to kind of like see how it is functioning and see the components and all those things. And dimensions are a key to such an equipment since the reserve only has limited space and the entire equipment is very neatly packed and everything. So the dimensions are generally around 6 to 8 centimeters by like another 6 to 8 centimeters into 2 to 3 centimeters for the control unit, and so slightly larger for the processing unit. I think it is written but probably not visible to you all. So it's like 85 into 43 into 32 mm for the processing unit. That's like 8.5 into 4 centimeter into 3 centimeter, and around similar for the control unit. And the release unit is probably even smaller, which is like 5 centimeters by like 2 centimeters or something like that. The overall weight of the entire unit is around less than 250 grams. That's around 230 grams. The activation conditions are the most important factor. So like we discussed, when the parachutist has exhausted all his options and he doesn't have a lifesaver, that is the time that AED is required. So the activation conditions for a changeable mode parachute, what the changeable does is, like, there are different kinds of Cypresses that are available in the market. One is for a student, one is for light load carrying, one is for heavy load and the third bundle carrying, one is for tandem parachuting and all those things. But a changeable Cypress gives you the advantage of setting it for what kind of an equipment this device is being used. So first of all, it lets you pre-feed the altitude that you're going to land at, and according to that altitude you can select like whether you want it deployed at 1000 feet, 1500 feet, 1900 feet, or 2500 feet. So 2500 feet is for tandems and higher loads, 1000 feet is for solo jumps without any load, and 1500 and 1900 are essentially for students and light loads. And the rate of descent of military parachutes that we consider is around 35 feet per second is considered unsafe, and beyond that we would want this equipment to activate. Also, let me explain to you another thing. The total altitude that takes a normal common military parachute to deploy is around 5 to 800 feet, roughly around 700 feet. It takes for the parachute to completely fully deploy. The reserve deploys slightly faster, probably around 500 feet. So these altitudes have been worked upon with a lot of R&D, and even the Cypress that is available in the market has gone through a lot of R&D and lot of jumps, lot of saves, like probably like 5,300 saves a Cypress has made in the world so far, and even everybody is using Cypress, so it's a pretty reliable technology. Programmability in military mode, I just explained you, and so that is essentially the product that we that has been approved as a part of the IDEX challenge. But we do have more challenges, future challenges available to us in only the terms of free fall, and even more challenges when it comes to the Special Forces of India. So I'll just briefly tell you about the future challenges that we are looking at. The first point is JTRAX Navigate. That's another product that is available off the shelf and that is in the use in the military. So on the right part of the screen, you can look at a little mobile device with a compass and like a little Wi-Fi setup. What it's essentially doing is it's helping me guide my canopy through the air to the desired target area, and also to be in communication with other free fallers with the same equipment, and kind of having a lifetime awareness in the sky. The second point is an automatic guidance unit for the G-pads. That on the bottom right of the screen, you can see a G-pad that's like a precision aerial delivery system, which doesn't require a free faller to be there, but it kind of controls the parachute in the same manner a person would. And it also has like a guidance unit, which we can pre-feed based on the target, based on the wind patterns, and based on the altitude that we are dropping it for. And the last point is free fall communication. So we are also looking for a free fall communication wherein like free fallers before even deploying the parachutes are able to be in communication with each other. And that's about it. If there are any questions, I would like to address them.
Thank you, Major Sahil, for details of the problem statement. I think people are asking the questions in Q&A. Maybe if anything relevant, we'll read out those questions at the end.
Yeah.
I think before that, now it's high time to go to the other side of the table. That's the applicant, I mean the grantees who are already there in the panel. We have Advait and we have Roshan. Both are the IDEX grantees, and we would like to hear from you. Maybe Advait, you want to go first?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So
It's
please
just
share
that
your
I've started traveling, so
yeah.
I don't have a PPT. I'll just have few points, which I'll generally
Sure,
share,
sure.
and those will be more important. And let me try video. I don't know, but I'm traveling anyway. But if this is working, I'll keep it on.
Fine. Yeah, it's working. That's fine. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you, Rashmi ma'am, for this opportunity. We've been so I am Advait Kulkarni. I'm representing Vasundhara Geotechnologies. We are part of the DISC 7 IDEX program, and we are working with the Indian Navy for few projects. One project to be very precise. I have a few outright pointers that I'd like to give to the cohort right now, and this is something that we have been following, and I mean, and through learned through experience also. One thing that we did follow was to understand the problem statement at our own level. Colonel sir just mentioned that how the process is going to be. Read the problem statement properly, and then he is going to give out the PDS. Actually, if the PDS comes to you at before the HPSC stage, like he's saying, it is amazing. Problem statement. But even if you don't, the idea would be level. Do as much as research, talk to as many people as
I think Advait, we are losing you in between.
might see and we address the board.
Hello, Advait, we are losing you in between.
Is this better? Is this better?
Maybe you can switch
I'll
off your
the,
video and
I switched. So this is better.
Sure.
So yeah, I was saying that one thing that we did follow during our HPSC was we presented the problem understanding that we had instead of giving the full outright solution. So like understanding the problem itself has more or less brought the user and the developer at the same page. Now it is up to the both of them to mutually understand how the next steps are going to be. Second thing that we did follow during the HPSC, and which made a lot of sense even to me, and this is what we have also followed in our company, is even before we give out a full solution, whatever top level solution we are giving, for the top level solution also give out a timeline that you are assuming would be in play. In DISC 7 also there will be some sprints, there will be a larger, but like however your timeline is for your product that you are coming up with, or the research that you're coming up with, have a basic of the timeline. And when you have a basic timeline, very rough timeline, it can be in months or it can be in weeks. You don't really have to go into the details of the action points and the milestones, but give out a timeline. Once you have the timeline, you will also have a very, very rough budget of, like, it's an extremely ballpark figure, but have a well-researched ballpark figure to be kept during the HPSC presentations. So with these 3-4 pointers for the HPSC, I think it's a very smooth ride after that. But preparing, most of the preparation will happen for really deeply understanding the problem statement at your own level. Try and get in touch with the nodal agencies who are putting out and get as much as help as you can, but do a detailed analysis of the problem statement. Before, let us assume that the HPSC goes well and guys go ahead and get the before signing the contract. I have this one very good suggestion, which something that probably we should have followed, and we are now, although the changes that happened in the QRs, there will be a QR that will be given to you based on the PDS and the PRU, which will be a part of the contract document as well. There might be changes when you actually go and look at the operational condition of your product. There might be changes in your thought process when you look at where the certain product is going to be deployed, how frequently it is going to be used, and what is the criticality of that product. And this, believe me, you will only know when you actually interact very deeply once you have signed the NDAs, once you go to the deployment areas, once you actually figure out how this is going to take place, then is when you understand what is the criticality and how the real product is going to be envisaged. Now, there can be changes in the QR at that point of time. This is something that we should have done, but fortunately for our project, the budget really did not change because of the changes in the QR. And the time budget also did not change, and we were able to achieve the hardware component as well. It might not be the case with every project that changes in the QR have just been seamlessly integrated in the original plan. Specifically for this, do your documentation extremely fast and spend a lot of time on understanding the final QRs, on understanding the deployment areas, on understanding the working condition of your product, and hence discuss with the nodal agency if there are any critical changes, if there are subsystem level changes, or if there are even system level changes. When you look at these things, one very earnest request to everybody is that please be honest from a technology standpoint. Please be honest about what can be delivered and what cannot be delivered, and convey it very, very clearly to the nodal agency. If there is certain thing that you've gotten selected in the HPSC, but you are not able to do something because of your own limitations or the technology limitations, be honest and open about it, and just make sure that you convey the point. So in summary of my 2 cents, be clear of the QR that you're going to work on, give a rough estimate of timelines in your HPSC presentations, budget presentations, and try to of people and give showcase for understanding of the parts of the story, and rest. So you are all we are all a part of the same innovator ecosystem, so kuch na kuch to kar hi lenge if there are any challenges, but these are my few cents which need to be taken care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Advait. Thank you. Maybe we can move on to Roshan. Roshan, yeah.
Yep.
So you are the one who have completed the project. So your experience, your entire journey for this IDEX, you can share, and maybe your learnings out of it and do's and don'ts for the audience.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Rashmi ma'am, for inviting me. I'd love to talk about our experience about the product and in general journey. And there are a lot of not do's in my journey because we were a small startup, started with only 3 founders on board when we actually got this project. So we are sort of clueless. I think a lot of people, I saw the questions also, were students right now and probably will apply and get some contracts and then go ahead and register a company. So our journey started somewhere in late 2021 when we got selected for Disk 5. This was an AIML solution for motion pattern classification of ship vessels. So I know some of our panelists already mentioned that for us. So what we did to get through in that application was we understood that, okay, there are 5 ways to solve a problem. And we actually suggested all 5 ways and told them which will work the best. If this is the scenario, this second option will work the best. That sort of gave the committee who was evaluating us the understanding that we actually understand the problem in detail. And we have already thought about 3 or 5 ways to solve this. And that just sort of showed them that, okay, we have the capability in terms of knowledge and domain expertise. That builds up the confidence to get you into HPSC. And when I did this in 2021, I did not have a clue about why it worked. But after that, we have been into 5 HPSCs now in the past 2 years, and we already have one more contract in process. So my understanding is building the trust with the person who is probably reading your application is important, and the trust only comes through your domain knowledge, expertise, and what you are presenting as a solution. There will always be changes to the problem statement. There can always be changes to the QR, but some things just stay intact from the starting that we did not know. And another thing that I would suggest people who are working specifically in the AI/ML domain, so there are two types of AI/ML solutions, right? One is a critical, high critical solution, or one might be a non-critical solution. I'll just give you an example. For example, if you're predicting whether a person is dead or alive, that's a very high critical thing, because you cannot be even 1%, cannot have 1% error in that. But if you are predicting whether somebody has fever, or a 1% error is acceptable in there, or probably a 5% error is also acceptable. So understanding what type of solution is expected by the agency will be very critical. Otherwise, you might say yes to a product that probably needs 100% accuracy, and you will never be able to deliver it. And we all understand the limitations of technology, the data availability, the annotations, and all the challenges. So that is another critical thing I would suggest people who are applying to have idea about whether this is a critical AI/ML solution or this is a non-critical AI/ML solution. And post that, I would say there's another aspect that we sort of did not put a lot of time and effort into, was that initially when we got the challenge, we thought like, we cleared HPSC, will sign the agreement as fast as you can, we'll start the product development. So because of that, we initially probably skipped 1 month time in, skipping a lot of legalities, compliance, understanding the problem statement in detail. What happened eventually was, in the end, we faced trouble, and that actually extended our project by another 6 months. So understanding when and what time you should not rush the project, because there will be enough time for you to build the project. You will always have time, but rushing it in is something that we did after we got selected in HPSC. So, and one more thing that I would say, most of us can actually do while applying is that try to talk to the nodal officers if you can. It might be difficult. Sometimes I think Colonel was here today, and Major Sahil also explained the product. They are very enthusiastic about talking about their products or what the problem statements that they have put forward. So try to get in touch with them, attend the webinars, try to ask questions them through the webinars. Sometimes that helps them to explain the problem statement better, and that will help you define your scope better. Beyond this, I would say there is another critical aspect that normally early stage startups will fail is in terms of matching contribution. So when I talk about matching contribution, the project is say 20 lakhs and you have to put 10 lakhs, it may or may not be a big deal. But if your project is say 3 crores and you have to put 1.5 crores, it is a very big deal for any small stage startup, especially if you're just starting up and you have very low revenues. So raising funds become inevitable for you. And raising funds will not happen on the basis of having an IDEX contract. Like, I have been to at least 50 plus investors. The challenges that I faced was, Roshan, does your product have a dual use or a commercial application? And that will happen when you are applying. So when you are applying for a problem statement, try to find out dual uses. Otherwise, if your project cost is very high, finding investors might also be a challenge, because defense contracts are really, IDEX is definitely helping a lot, but the investor sentiment it's changing, but it will be easy if also has a commercial application that you can show to your investors. And one more thing that I would like to share was the documentation aspect. We really did not spend. We all three were technocrats and we are super enthusiastic about building the product. We really never focused on what needs to be documented and what are the compliances, what are the certificates, regulations, approvals that we need. That probably took 50% of our time, and 50% was actual product development during this entire journey of, I would say, now 18 months. So working on them or dedicating somebody who is fully dedicated to just the compliance documentation work would be really helpful, and it should be done from the date of HPSC itself. I think apart from this, it was a good journey for us. You get to understand the user and try to build a product that is useful. Yeah, one more thing that just popped up in my head was there are two categories of challenge statements. One is which is directly coming from the forces like Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, and the other category is a DPSU centric problem statement, which is coming from a BEL, HL, or any of those organizations. So we were working with BEL, but our end user was Indian Navy. So our product will be procured by BEL, but will be used by Indian Navy. So that is a different level of challenge because you are building a product for the end user, and we did not have access to the end user for quite a period of time. So what we eventually did was we built a product that was great for BEL, but was at a subpar level for Indian Navy, because Indian Navy was procuring this product from BEL, and BEL was using our software platform as a subsystem of a bigger system that they were selling to Indian Navy. So we had to revamp the entire product. That took us additional time, but luckily it did not cost us additional money. We were able to manage with the allocated budget that we have. So that is something that we could have done better. We could have asked BEL while signing the contract or while during the HPSC, who is the end user, how is the end user willing to use this product. Understanding that and building a product curated to the end user would have been really great for us and would have saved us a lot of time. So yeah, so my feedback or my experience that I would like to share with the participants or people who are looking to apply is, do not consider this as a interview. Rather, it is a co-development, and you should always ask the right questions to the HPSC, to the post HPSC process. Even before that also, you can, when you're filling the application, it's a subjective document, you can put your questions there also. They do answer them, they do go through them, and they do answer them during the HPSC. So that would be really helpful if you can figure out what all questions you want to ask, shoot it to the NOs in any way that is possible, try to get as much information as possible, and build a product that everybody will love. So yeah, that would be from my side. Thank you so much. I would be happy to take any questions or anything that people would like to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roshan. Thanks for the insights. I think the major takeaway of the session will be to understand the problem statement in depth as much as possible. I think everybody is insisting on that part. Why, before you apply for the IDEX challenge, you need to understand and you need to get information from whatever ways possible. I think that's a major point which has been insisted by everybody, I think. Kanishk, you want to take up those 2-3 questions which are there in the chat box? I think those are more relevant for DIO.
Rashmi, they are related to specific challenges, so I would suggest them to put in a query for the same thing, so that it can be answered in much more detail instead of here. All the other questions which were related were answered accordingly.
Okay, so any specific problem statement related questions, I would request audience to go to the IDEX website. There is a, I think, query form, right? Query submission form is there on the IDEX website, and any questions you have, you can post on that. You can submit through that form, and I think IDEX or DIO will answer those questions in consultation with the specific nodal agency.
Also, yeah, Rashmi, just one more thing. I have put in a feedback link over the chat and also sharing a QR code here if you can see. Just request everyone who have attended the session to scan this and fill the feedback form so that it's an information for us to where we can put in more efforts for the next outreach. That's it.
Sure, sure. And we can also, we have noted that link, we will also circulate with all the attendees who have, we have the email addresses, so we'll circulate with them also. So they can submit the feedback. I think anyone has any other questions? I think in the interest of time, we can take a couple of questions if possible. Somebody wants to raise hand and ask the questions, or maybe. And I would request all the panelists to switch on their camera so that we can take a snapshot. Advait, Sahil, Major Sahil, Ganesh, if you can.
Yeah, anybody with questions particularly to address to Major Sahil and Colonel Jitendra, that they are there, it can be taken
Yeah.
one-on-one here itself.
Yeah. And Kanish, can you stop sharing the screen so that we can have the view of all the panelists and we can take a snapshot? Yeah. Thank you. And any other questions which we could not cover in this session, maybe you can write to us, you can write to DIO. If you write to us, we will compile those questions and share it with DIO. Any other information you need, you can directly write to DIO as well. I think if there are no more questions, then we can close the session. I understand that there's a delay, but I think this was very useful discussion. So I didn't really stick to the time and interrupted anyone, because this information is really important when you are applying for such programs. Yeah, any closing remarks from your side, Kanesh, or we can close the program session?
So, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I think we were able to translate what was in the PPTs and what were in the challenges to all the participants. In case you have any other query, you can always reach out to us. You can always reach out to Rashmi for in that regard, and she can directly connect you to us for any challenges. Other than that, also for any queries regarding the OC, which is our open challenge category, where you innovators can apply on their behalf. You can directly contact to the PI or to us, and we can definitely help you in all the ways possible. Thank you. Thank you, IIT Bombay. Thank you, SINE.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Colonel Jitendra. Thank you, Major Sahil. Thanks, Roshan, Advait.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, SINE team as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.